we have Chris here who just woke up, who is getting his coffee, and who warned us several weeks ago. He warned both us, and he also warned his own viewers over at Film Threat exactly what was in store for us. This latest little gift, courtesy of Lucasfilm and modern day Disney. Because you've seen the first 7 episodes, isn't that right, Chris?
That's correct. Yeah. I mean, the first episode kind of lays everything out. It focuses on Kit is the main character. She's the daughter of Sorsha. You remember Sorsha from the original Willow. She was a great swordswoman. Would you call her a swordswoman or swordsperson? Swordsman?
Well, I would say swordswoman. I mean, that's the term that Robert E. Howard used. If it was good enough for him, it's good enough for me. And if modern day activists disagree, then that's their problem.
Yeah, so for those of you who didn't watch the episode that just came out, so Kit is the main character. She's the daughter of Sorsha and Mad Mardigan. Mad Mardigan is not in the show. Mad Mardigan went on a quest and never returned. Kit is being married off to a prince from another kingdom. This is a story that's been told many times. Let's join the kingdom to protect against the coming evil, right? So she's getting married off, but her best friend, it's the opening scene of the first episode. Her best friend, who she's in a sword fight with, she aspires to be a warrior, and they like each other. They like each other a lot. And there is a kiss in the first episode. The way that it's played is fairly innocent. Like it may be played in any sort of other fantasy. This isn't Game of Thrones. So it's all very innocent. I mean, it's Disney after all. So, but their relationship is played very innocent. Willow, you don't see Willow until the very end of the first episode, because what happens is Kit's brother, Eric, the prince, gets kidnapped by the evil and taken away. So it's sort of a twist on traditional fairy tale. Rather than going to rescue the princess, they're going to rescue the prince. So they put together a fellowship, so to speak, to go on a quest to rescue the prince from the evil. That's effectively the first episode. And they go seek out Willow, who is now a fully empowered wizard. He has powers of a wizard. He has a wand that can do things. He knows magic.
And clearly from the trailer, it made him a much worse actor.
I just think that, like, look, I like him. I like
Warwick Davis too, but in that trailer, that clip, he comes out and he starts talking, and it's like, "This is Willow. Welcome to the forest. I'm like Willow. We have to go find people."
It's like he's reading off cue cards, but no, he's Warwick Davis. He's, I really like him in that show Life's Too Short. Do you remember that show?
That is amazing. That's the best thing he's ever done. I've only seen the first season of it, like the Ricky Gervais thing, but that's incredible.
But yeah, it's pretty amazing. What's weird about Willow, someone else pointed this out on a Film Threat live stream, that it's like you have to count the number of series where a brunette white woman is the lead of the show. You look at the Star Wars sequels, it's Rey. You look at Rogue One, brunette lead. Willow, same. You just begin to go through all this stuff, and it's bizarre how many. Our commenter was like, well, it's a Kathleen Kennedy self-insert. It just seems to always happen. There's a certain type.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't see Willow to the very end of the first episode, but while some might think that Willow is sidelined in the show, he's actually not. Like, as I'm not really going to comment beyond anything beyond like episode 3, but I'll just say that you see him at the very end of the first episode, and he's in that wizard role. He's effectively the Gandalf of the show. So, which is actually a perfect role for him to have. It actually does work. So, and then this romance brews, the romance between Kit and the other character's name is Jade. She's an aspiring warrior, and Kit's best friend, and something more. That definitely, evolves over the show, and goes places that you would expect. Yes, there are love scenes and whatnot. So, look, I'm kind of in two minds about it, because it's kind of awful modernity, shoehorned into traditional fantasy. And then there are parts of the show where I'm like, oh, this is fun. There are parts of the show that are kind of fun. It is also stupid. There's a scene, I'm not sure if it's in the first episode or second episode, because I watched 7, where they're riding these horses and they ride off of a cliff into shallow water and everybody's fine. It's the weirdest. It looks terrible, but like, it's, watching it, I was like, what does this show remind me of? What does this show remind me of? And it reminds me of Xena Warrior Princess. So it's like, if Xena Warrior Princess went full gay, that's Willow. With ripping off.
Wasn't Xena already full gay?
It was only ever implied, and I love that. I believe
that Xena, she was like more like open to just about everything. So more omni than bi, or
somebody who's pretty open to everything is Mr. Paul Chato. How are you doing?
Hey, Paul.
I'm sure for a few bucks I could talk him into anything.
Hello, Xena Warrior Princess also owed something to, weird as this is to say, this 1966 Adam West TV Batman series. It's just like a simple villain or problem of the week, to solve. It's a dynamic duo, so to speak. And but it's all the modernity sort of shoehorned into classic fantasy storytelling that literally Willow is a ripoff of everything. It borrows from, everything from like, obviously Lord of the Rings, Xena Warrior Princess, and even Krull, but it's definitely, it's coming from a feminist bent, like all the way. That doesn't mean that there aren't parts of it that are fun, like, because the show doesn't take itself too seriously, which I think it's kind of its saving grace. So, I don't know that I'm even going to finish the show. It's just getting a little tiresome, but and it's almost like there are parts of it. Christian Slater is in a later episode. He was part of the announced cast, and he pretends to be Madmartigan, but he's not. He's falsifying that identity, and he's actually kind of fun. He's a jackass. He kind of plays a version of Madmartigan, but he isn't Madmartigan, right? So, I don't know. Like, I think if audiences stick with it, they may find stuff to like. But again, it's like Disney is so predictable now, and the way that they portray gay characters is like all leaning into just sort of stereotypes, or just like projecting it. It's not like a character can just be, an attribute of them is that they happen to be gay. Like in Disney, in all the Disney stuff I've seen, it's like the characters, like their defining characteristic is that they are gay. Like that's like, they're all about that. And that just seems unnecessary, because it's not as if like gay characters are new to cinema. It's been around since forever. There's some maybe undeclared. Paul may be with me on this one, but Dr. Smith in the original Lost in Space television series. Oh, Will, my dear boy. Oh, like he was a little, he was a fraidy cat, so to speak. But I love Dr. Smith. Like, Dr. Smith was great. They never made like Dr. Smith gay. He was just a coward and Will's best friend. So Will's best friend is an older man, likes to hang out with a younger boy, and they have adventures with their robot. I'm not gonna. You read into that what you want.
Okay,
But
I got a question. Where's all the little people? Like, where's Willow's family? Like, I watched the trailer. There's not one new actor that's a little person.
No. There's a lot of little people, but they're in later episodes, like including Willow's daughter. Like, I don't know.
What about his son?
I don't know if the actual daughter, the son is mentioned. So, but yeah, no, it's like I think the problem is Disney has so turned audiences off by pushing agenda. Like they can't just. It's like you can't just organically be like an attribute of someone's character is that they happen to be gay. That's just, it's not a defining characteristic. And they want to make it all about that as a way to kind of push things. And I can't say that there aren't parts of Willow that are fun. It's just it's a cheesy, bad fantasy show using elements from the original elements, including characters, actors, story, whatnot from the original Willow. And it's interesting because they are like paying off something that was in the original Willow movie.
Let me guess, they made a Laura Dannon this horrible witch queen.
Yes, exactly.
For fuck's sake, I knew it.
No, it's just no. I'm not okay. I can't. I don't.
No, I'll be honest with you. I was a big fan of the original Willow, and I knew the way they were making the trailer look. I'm like, where's the Laura Dannon?
Well, you don't find out who that person is. They discover this person. I don't want to say it, the answers are revealed, but in an unexpected way. But you really see in like certain episodes, there's like they happen upon these two women that are kind of dressed like cowboys. It's really out of character. I'm like, this doesn't even seem in the same world as Willow. And it's like two sort of very masculine women who live in a cabin in the woods. And it's like, I mean, they did everything but have like the U-Haul in the back where, they moved in together.
Really not selling this show for me.
Or the Subaru.
Right, exactly. Whatever it is. But it's just like, and they don't overtly come out and say the characters are gay, but it's literally every gay stereotype of lesbian women that like you've heard about. It's sort of ridiculous, but it's like, why are they wearing like cowboy hats and jeans in the world of Willow? So it's like, wait, what?
I think generally the giveaway is having 5 Frenchie dogs.
Right, exactly. It's just
that's usually giveaway when you've got 2 lesbians living together.
Anyways, it's it's modern Disney. You got to come to expect this, but it's like I've said this on the Film Threat live stream. We're going to talk about it later today after you guys are done at 1 p.m. Pacific time. We're doing our normal Film Threat live stream, but Disney just needs to spin off another brand. They just need to go full gay and do a separate brand and call it Disney Sparkle, and then just make gay content for all ages and, just sort of segment that audience off. And I think that they would do well. I think that would be a smart decision at this point. I don't know. I wonder what Paul thinks about that idea.
Well, to me, it's all about marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Someone asked me how come Brokeback Mountain succeeded and other projects like Bros didn't. And my succinct answer was people wanted to see Brokeback Mountain and no one wanted to see Bros.
That's a great answer.
There's my answer. So I think what you're talking about, and I haven't seen Willow, I don't plan on seeing it, is that we're just suffering from a lot of bad writing, and people are bringing the subtext are saying the subtext, and they're shouting that they're what's the phrase, that they're brave and they're
stunning and brave,
and by being overt about it, they are celebrating their stunning and braveness. And you can just see when the moment happens in any of these shows, that in the writing room, they must have exploded into applause. And when the scene was shot, tears were flowing in the studio when that moment happened. I know it happened. I can picture it happening. And this is what we're seeing, is that no one knows how to write subtly. And they just have to be stunning and brave with their overtness. That's it. And it's horrible to watch.
Yeah, it's I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Paul, and I've heard you speak about this on this topic before. Modern writers, today's writers are they just are completely, not capable of including subtext.
I'll be honest, this whole thing sounds fucked in the head.
Well, this is the thing. If you look,
the technical way to say it.
Right. But I will say it's sort of like look, I like trauma movies. I like movies made by
I do too.
Lloyd Kaufman. I like The Toxic Avenger. I like those kinds of cheesy films. If you go into this thinking I want to watch a bad fantasy show based on an old movie made by George Lucas that kind of ripped off Lord of the Rings, let's be honest, it kind of was like, I'm not going to get the rights to Lord of the Rings. I'm just going to come up with my own thing. I'm not going to get the rights to Flash Gordon. I'm just going to make Star Wars. Like that's fine. But I don't know if we can act like Willow was the sacred texts. You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying, but I was a fan. They kill my favorite character off screen, Madmartigan, because Lord knows Val Kilmer's not going to be with us long enough to wind up in this show at any point.
I haven't finished the series, so I don't know.
I know he's not in this season.
He's certainly there. I mean, he's certainly a presence. Let's say.
I know that
he's a
Lord. They make a Lord Dannon who's supposed to be the one to save them from the evil into the evil one. So they're going to try and be clever with that whole thing.
Oh, I haven't gotten to that.
Tom, are you saying that they subverted expectations?
Not really, because I'm just telling. I pre-wrote this from the go. Like back when Clint Howard first told me about it,
confirm this. Tom,
I was like, okay, this has potential. And then as soon as I heard that motherfucker who was involved with Solo was involved, I'm like, oh, this just went out the goddamn window. Here's what it's going to be. Laura Dannon's going to be the bad guy. They're going to kill Val Kilmer off screen. Their daughter's going to be this fucking secret to everything. Willow's going to be sidelined like Luke Skywalker. Need I go on? Like, that's what's going to happen. I said, and some of the things you're saying sound an awful lot like that. I'm sure at the end of the season, all it's going to be is Laura Dannon's going to decide, oh, I'm supposed to be good. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, because that's how this works in these shows anymore, especially if you have a bad guy. They're never held to be responsible for anything they do. So, especially if they're a woman, i.e. Doctor Strange. So,
I think if Disney is contemplating doing anything with gay characters, they should just hand the entire project to John Waters.
Yeah, I love John Waters.
So.
John Waters was really good at writing gay characters. It was good.
Oh,
because they weren't about them being gay at all, ever.
It never was.
Yeah,
and it was. I mean, it was subject matter interest. That was of interest to a gay audience. But it was. I mean, his stuff was fantastic. Even his raunchy stuff, early raunchy stuff. It was just so much fun.
It's pure camp, is what most of it is.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, but I mean,
it depends on which movie we're talking about.
John Waters doing this, but the man's got talent, and Disney doesn't hire talent.
They would never let John Waters make a Marvel movie.
Pardon me, what? Andre?
Talent costs money, and activism comes for cheap, at least in the production stage, but it gets very, very expensive later on.
Problem is, they wouldn't even let John Waters make a John Waters movie now. He's pretty much said that.
Probably. I love him to death. He's great.
I love John Waters. His writing is amazing. He's a great.
And he's a keen observer of the human condition.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's. I mean, look. I'll say this: your mileage may vary, but if you like bad TV shows, I mean, it's hard that they're just objectively bad, from the special effects to cheesy dialogue to like just sort of the overtly just stating, like Paul was pointing out, like what the subtext is. They just sort of speak it out loud into existence. Like it's bad, but there are kernels there to like just like a trauma movie. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit here and defend it. And like you decide not to see it, I get it. It's everything now you can expect from Disney is just going to be sort of gay, but in an in your face kind of way, not in a like, I really like this character, and then they turn out to be gay, or it just doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So,
one of the things John Waters did really well is have overtly straight male characters that were attractive to gay men.
Right.
I mean, was a great trick that he pulled off, and no gay man would ever think that good-looking hunky guy was gay. They just wished he was.
Well, it's kind of like how John Waters was one of those who kind of seen that Johnny Depp should be this teen idol.
Yeah.
Right? Like he saw that early on, and I mean, yeah, no, he's way beyond Hollywood now. He even said, because Chris and I had a long conversation about it one day, and I happened to come across an interview with him because we were kind of waxing what he would think about this woke business. And he flat out said, back in the day, it was the right who was trying to silence me. Now it's the left.
Yep. And he's pulled back on that a little bit because I'm sure that he's politically connected. Poor guy. I mean, you have to be careful.
Of course, he's
have to say.
Definitely, I'm sure, part of somewhat of the mafia there. But yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think he's just keeping his head low.
He could be right. I would like to think he's not, but
no.
But Chris, anything else before you go about Willow? Because none of the rest of us have seen it, unfortunately. So
yeah, I don't know. Like I say, I watched the first 7. I was surprised. I was like, I'll just watch another one. This is such a stupid show. Why am I still watching it? And then I would watch another one. I'm like, that was dumb. I guess I'll watch another episode. Well, but it's like, look, Paul, there are guilty pleasures out there.
Sure.
And this almost falls in that category. And the vibe I got that I miss is I loved that show, Xena Warrior Princess.
Oh, yeah, but that's a great guilty pleasure show.
It's a great guilty pleasure show. It's fun. It's wacky characters. It's but it's the thing that the problem is that they seem to care so much about pushing this like weak male characters, right? Prince Eric is just sort of he's a womanizer. He can't be taken seriously. He's dim-witted. So he's the dumb prince. I mean, I don't ever remember in these things, like in Krull, for example, they didn't make the princess stupid, right? And there was one of those other marriage, of convenience to unite the kingdoms, to deal with the threat. It's like, okay, we've seen that a million times, but it's a story that works. And the woman who plays Sorsha, God, I forget the actress's name. What's her name? Joanne Whaley. She's great. She's awesome. Like, I mean, it's her. And there are other characters. There's a character named Borman who's pretty cool. Like, there's characters to like, and then there's just dumb stuff like these cowboy women wearing jeans and cowboy hats. It just doesn't even fit a fantasy world. And they're living in a cabin in the woods. Like, it's just the weirdest thing. Like, what? So there's things that stand out as just being stupid. But it's not as if there weren't like episodes of Xena Warrior Princess where you're like, well, that was pretty dumb, but I like her and I like the show. So
but that came from the sense that they got to crank one of these out every single week, so I will forgive the odd week. You kind of knew, and even if you knew nothing about network TV, in your gut, you kind of knew what the game was.
And I do have to leave, but I'll just leave you with this, maybe a discussion point to continue. But I think streaming, you're making 20 shows at once or 12 shows or 10 shows, whatever it is, and you're making it in a vacuum with no feedback loop from the audience, I think is hurting shows.
Yep.
It makes these shows bad because the best part about the feedback loop on television shows is it made the shows better. That, you might be 4 episodes in, you're working on episode 5, but episode 1 has aired and a particular character people really like, then that character maybe gets more prominence, or people, you never know what's going to resonate with an audience, and you're making 10 episodes of a streaming show. You better have confidence that thing is going to resonate, but you can't predict what becomes popular. And that's why
you just mentioned the perfect example in Lost in Space. So back in the day, you got an initial 10 show order. So
right.
10 shows in, you kind of found out what people liked and didn't like.
Right.
Dr. Smith was not supposed to be a regular.
Wow.
And he was so popular with the audience that, the executives went into the writing room and said, Dr. Smith every day, all along. And the wife the woman who played the wife, who was wonderful. She was in Lassie. She got annoyed that she got pushed off to the side. But that's as you have perfectly articulated, was one of the best features of network TV, is that there was a bit of beta testing and they could make changes.
Yes. So I think that I think you can't underestimate how losing the feedback loop, because now the feedback loop is these shows are out. This is what they are. Why are you pushing this stuff? There seems to be no listening. It used to be that producers, this so well, Paul, like producers listen to the audience, and you don't have to do exactly what the audience is suggesting or the feedback you're getting. But you need to be responsive to it, because if they're very loudly saying they don't like something, I'm kind of shocked that Marvel's like, we know you don't like this stuff, but we're doing it anyways, and our movies are going to make less and less money. And it's not, I don't think it's because people are tired of superheroes. I think they're tired of bad movies.
Well, you know what? Back in the day, people did not have agendas except to keep the goddamn shows not canceled.
Right.
That was sorry for the bad English, but today, I actually think that the people with agendas want to keep these hidden until they're done. I don't think they want to know halfway through that absolutely nobody liked the gay relationship at all. They don't want to hear that, because then their stunning and brave experience is going to be ruined.
Right.
So I think they're doing exactly what they want to do. And even if they did get halfway through some kind of notice that people really hated what was going on, I don't think they would want to change it at all, because they're stunning and brave and they're fighting the patriarchy.